Mm. That was your opening song.
That was it?
Yeah, just a
Oh, okay. Just a
uh,
heavy sigh. At least something's going semi, I don't know. Okay. Not
is it?
crazy.
I
Maniacal. No. I mean, yes. And also, absolutely not.
There's no victory here. Like the thing is like it's like a 2 week ceasefire. We already know some of the terms are going to be not like possibly tenable. I doubt it's actually going to last the 2 weeks. How often does Israel make it more than 48 hours without firing a fucking missile when they're
Truth.
in an active ceasefire? And at the end of the day, people like the thing people want to say now is like, see, it was all tactical. It was a he was which first things first, you can literally make the argument either direction, and Iran will be that you could say, as you are, well, Donald Trump only said that and then he got a deal out of it because he said that and scared them. He got a deal out of it. Meanwhile, you can say literally the same thing with Iran. You could be like, no, actually, Donald Trump came to Iran and they're talking about a 10-point plan that includes dropping all sanctions against Iran. So you could say, actually, it was Iran basically saying, fuck, nah, we're not doing shit, that caused
Yep.
him. Because, and we know this is what has happened in the past. We know that actually would be more consistent with his character. We know, like, with the tariffs and economic deals and shit like that, that when it all starts to go fuck off, he then is like, he goes back on it. We end up being in a worse place we were in before he started doing the bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
But then he was like, and we got a great deal. You know, we got great wins. We got a great deal. So you can literally just say the same thing. No, no, the deal is actually more in Iran's favor. It is worse than the position we were in before. And it's because Iran has been basically every time he's like, I'm gonna kill you, they post on Twitter. I think that pedophile's mad. I don't know if you've seen their propaganda Twitter, but it's weirdly
No.
good. The killing civilian things is terrible, so I'm not subscribed. But some of the stuff is
Yeah.
they post pretty funny memes for a murderous sack of shit regime.
That's insane. I mean, I believe it too, because whoever's been making the Lego videos exactly, they're great. They're hilarious. I love them. Also, like, I
Yeah,
didn't. I like their Hexeth video, minus showing killing American soldiers. That was the only part that I was like, ah, it might be a little much.
hey guys, remember back off of that. Right now, you guys, Donald Trump is doing such PR for you because you are one of the trashiest sack of shit nations in the world. You are fucking legitimately garbage. And yet your image is getting softened because Donald Trump is basically going, if you keep bullying me, I'll kill everybody but you. Like,
Yep.
you're looking pretty good in comparison to the genocidal orange man. And so
Insane.
it's that whole like never interrupt your enemy when he's making a mistake thing.
Oh, that's
Um
true.
yeah. And so like they're still fucking dog shit garbage. Um and well, someone said fuck impeachment, arrested for high crimes and misdemeanor sounds better. You know, you have to impeach first because the sitting president can't be indicted. So impeachment would be the first step along that way. Just saying.
Unfortunately, somebody made that a rule. Not entirely sure why,
Yeah.
but also, I mean,
I'm not entirely
it's
sure why we have a president not the way we have. Like literally, it's so funny that people will be like, and America is the greatest country in the world. Why do you think everyone's trying to come here? First of all,
oof.
ignoring that they're not. Poorer countries are trying to come here. And poor countries destabilized by us are trying to
Mm-hmm.
come here. We will have, I was mentioning this on the show earlier. The things that are happening right now are destabilizing Brazil and other South and Central American countries as they now don't have access to their normal fertilizer routes and
Yep.
what will be other things as well. But literally, their food supply is going to get fucked up. And these aren't rich countries that are like, oh, we'll just go buy McDonald's for everybody, right? And so we're literally going to be causing food shortages, and then we're gonna go, invasion headed this way. Caravans are coming. Right? Why don't you go back and fix your own country as we're fucking all of their countries? And it's like,
Eh,
God, we fucking suck, dude. America sucks so fucking bad.
they're never going to see it that way. Of course. Though at least most Americans won't. I can't say not all of them, but most of them aren't going to care or even try to see it that way. I don't know, either they're too out of touch with politics or they're too far into the MAGA cult.
If things keep the way they're going to, I think basically the whole two-term president thing is over. I think we're pretty much going to, we might get another Trump situation where you get two terms non-sequentially, but I think
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be essentially every 4 years. Won't matter whether or not you're better than if your opponent had been president. It'll just be, here's the big things that we're going to blow up out of proportion. And we're going to, the fun thing that would be dramatic and exciting reality TV is we're going to switch presidencies again. And so the ironic thing is if we follow that model, and that does turn out to be true, which is what I suspect is going to happen, we're going to have a lot of people fail to get a second term if there's elections like that in the future. That would mean Gavin Newsom or whoever the Democratic presidential nominee is will win. I still think Newsom is the likely nominee, despite the fact that he doesn't even
Probably.
outpoll AOC. But here we are. And so the ironic thing will be Donald Trump will cause a quote unquote immigration crisis. Right now, he's causing that future one. It takes time for it all to catch up. And it will be, I mean, this is what happened with Biden, where it won't matter if it's a Democrat or a socialist or no matter how good the person is in office, they're going to have crises that hit with a delay. So like we know that happens with tax cuts. Tax cuts initially cause a stock market spike, and then the economic impacts of that, the inflation and shit, tend to show up later. And so on top of what happened post COVID, what happened with the war in Russia, all at the same time, Biden's also dealing with fucking Trump's chickens coming to roost. And you get these things on a delay. So Trump doesn't care. He's like, all the consequences that will happen after I'm gone. And I can just blame, even if it's somehow his guy.
Oh,
If I
yeah.
had been in there, it would have been totally different. I would have had different results. JD's doing his best. Marco's doing his best, but they're lacking the real leadership.
I mean, it's exactly like his post is like, our president is weak. Only a weak president would start a war with Iran, starts with war with Iran. And
Yeah.
then like Obama is going to attack Iran now that his poll numbers
Ratings
are
are low.
tanking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like it's
Yeah.
going to keep happening.
But we're still the country that was dumb enough to elect him twice.
It
Ugh,
wasn't me.
it wasn't me. What good news do we have? I mean, the Republican won that seat in Georgia that Marjorie Taylor Greene abandoned. But
I
if
don't
there's a
think.
little bit of hope when it comes to like the midterms that are coming up, it's a seat that the Republicans won by a lot. And Marjorie Taylor Greene had 65% of the vote. It's looking like
Yep.
the guy that is taking over, I can't remember his name off the top of my head now.
Clay something, I believe you said.
Yeah, Clay something. Clay, he only got 54%. That's an 11-point change in a very red district. Who, remember, like elected back when Marjorie was still peak QAnon. I don't know that she's not now. But what's so funny is I don't know if you know like the lore of the Young Turks, but I haven't watched them in forever.
Ooh.
And I decided to turn them on because they were live earlier and be like, oh, let's see what they're talking about with Iran. And I was like, surely, surely Cenk will be like giving a good, like, hey, my family's from that region. I'm connected to these people analysis. Like, surely the I'm just going to complain about the left will have cooled down. Literally, the like I'm popping in on this stream that's supposed to be about that, and all he's doing is complaining about the left, and specifically that the left does not want to see him and others with significant allyship, essentially with Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tucker Carlson, and all of those people. And he's basically like saying like, you don't get to say that because I'm a Muslim, and as a Muslim, like the whole like you're telling me not to get these allies, and just totally making it so like the least nuanced version of it. when it's the thing. Here's the deal, guys. We've said it a long time. I bet Cenk has said this phrase before. If you are at a party and a Nazi shows up and is not kicked out of the party, you're now at a Nazi party. So here's the thing. If Marjorie Taylor Greene shows up, who is an anti-Semite, whose anti-Zionism is rooted in anti-Semitism, and she shows up to your party and isn't asked to leave, you're now at an anti-Semite party.
Valid.
I'm an anti-Zionist. I'm not an anti-Semite. And I'm not going to like Nick. Were you going to partner up with Nick Fuentes next? Nick Fuentes, he was like, look, forget about what our motivations was. This was like an actual thing he was given on a show recently. Forget about our motivations. You don't like it for your reason. I don't like it for mine. But we should bond together. We should bond together, and we should definitely be working together to get Israel out of the American government. And I'm literally just sitting there like, dude, there are going to be idiots who fall for this, who are
So
like,
many.
yeah, let's work with the Nazis together. And then on the other side, let's see how much they've made progress by normalizing their existence and showing that we are willing to ally ourselves with these kinds of people. It's so annoying. It's so frustrating. And wow, the way Cenk and Anna have fallen, Cenk, I think, is at least still like pretty liberal progressive. But he had a shot at real leftism, and he's really just
I'm not even sure
abandoned
I
it.
would call him that. Like, I don't know if you saw, did you see that? Like, I don't really care about them much anymore, but did you see that he went on Jubilee?
Yeah, I mean, so is Mehdi Hassan. Mehdi's definitely leftist.
Yeah, but no, Mehdi went on and debated
Yeah.
MAGA or
Who
really
did?
fascist. Senk sat in a room of 10 Republicans and 10 Democrats and debated why the left was shit and the Republicans ain't shit either. And it's like, okay.
That's weird. So you had Democrats and Republicans and debated that the left was shit, but you didn't have the left there.
Oh no, the left was there. They had 10 Oh yeah, no, sorry. They
The
had
Democrats
Democrats.
aren't
They didn't have
left.
lefts. Yeah, they didn't
Yeah,
have
they had
leftists.
like Jesus fucking Christ. Ugh. Yeah.
Yeah. It took
Some of
me a
you are
moment to
saying
catch up.
Jank. I thought it was Cenk.
I
I
thought
know
it
it
was
sounds like
Cenk.
Jank if you say it fast enough, but I don't know. Anyway, it was fucking what a bummer. Oh, how the mighty falls. It is funny that it seems like things are kind of flipping. I feel like if this was me 4 years ago, is that the right timing? It might be different. I'd have been telling you like, God, Kyle Kalinske is so disappointing, but Cenk he's doing pretty good stuff. And now I feel like I'm like, guys, I'm starting to fall for this pro Kyle Kalinske propaganda. Starting to think he might be doing pretty good these days. I'd still want to see him. I would want to see him uh back in. All right, you guys can, if you say it's Jank, I'll get more of a,
Yeah, I
it's more
got
of a
told
J
Jank
sound.
too. Yeah.
But I don't know
I don't
that
know.
the thing is I don't know if I'm being corrected by a bunch of whiteys.
Oh,
'Cause
that's a good point too. Like,
largely white audience, guys. I don't know that you guys will actually know better. Um, I'm glad Riverboat Jack yelled at you for talking shit about the DSA. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know what am I supposed to do with this? What am I supposed to do? You want me to call and put her in her place? Hey, I don't know you might have sucked.
who are we putting in their place?
Riverboat Jack. Jack's
Oh,
on our
okay.
team,
I
y'all.
read that. I read that, and I just ignored it
Oh yeah.
because I was like, I don't know
Like,
if
what am I
like
supposed to do with like this information? I don't know what the fucking deal with your thing was.
the Democratic
Um,
Socialists at least try. That's all I can say on that one. Not
yeah,
all of them, but there's plenty that at least try.
yep, yep. Uh, I've heard Hassan pronounce it as jank. So here's the thing.
Ah,
I hear you guys. I've heard them pronounce it too, and I think I'm hearing a ch sound that sounds like a j. And this is where I'm saying is I think like uh it's possible we're both right and
and
wrong.
wrong.
I think there's more ch in the j sound than you think there is. But, we're all fucking white. Um
No, I'm gonna parrot the comment in one of the chatters and say the same thing. I'm not white. I'm transparent. I agree with that statement.
yeah, I'm translucent. Nearly, you can see all
Oof,
my veins. All right,
you
the
did
person
say
who
that
says they
before.
studied Turkish did say it should be Cenk. You know, I had to look back up because I saw you say I have, so which is funny because somebody else said that they said Cenk instead of Jenk to be disrespectful.
Oh
Anyway,
gosh.
um, anyway, yeah, it's weird. I feel like I've turned where I'm kind of like, I still want to see Kyle Kalinske with somebody who has a bigger platform that he like that and is actually challenging him, like actually says challenging stuff because I've been unimpressed with that. But I will say I'm starting to like him.
I
It's
don't know
kind of
who that
weird.
is.
Kyle Kalinske, he has a show for years. The show was called Secular Talk. I don't know if it is still anymore.
Hmm.
He also he has platinum blonde hair. And look, guys, do you? And my body is not your body is not my choice. My body's not your choice. Kyle, go back to black, dude. Like you've been doing it for years, and it's been years of it not working.
It
It
also
doesn't fit your face.
it takes so much effort to get it to that level of color.
Yeah, it's platinum. It's like a platinum blonde, and I gotta tell you guys, you gotta stop. Someone said stop reading the comments, Jimmy. I've made it harder. It's directly in front of my. It's on my teleprompter. We've had two people call and immediately drop. I guess they're scared. I don't know. Maybe we'll see
oh,
this one
did
actually
they?
get screened.
I have
It could
someone
also be people trying to bypass the screener. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I have somebody in my chat that's like, "Can you talk?" and then said, "You guys are painful." And it's like, I mean, literally no one forces you to be here, but if you like Trump, you could call the number on the screen that and then you can actually have a conversation. We're so painful. Tell us why.
Yeah, call in and show. Quit hating. It's still called secular talk. Yeah, secular
Okay,
talk
cool.
is it's just a weird name, don't you all think? For his show. I thought that back then when by the way, I used to like him a lot. I've got something in my mustache. It's hard and I think it's like a pimple. Anyway, I thought it was a weird name for him because he like does not do any of the like if I'm tuning into something called secular talk, I'm thinking like you're gonna have
Hmm.
somebody who's Andrew Seidel taken the non-seculars to task on that basis a lot. I don't think I've ever seen him defend atheism, secular humanism, anything like that. So I do think his show has a weird name, but you know, that I can
I
let up.
mean, I think we all have a weird name. Mine is just a play on my own name, and people get all so upset that they're like, and you call yourself a mermaid.
Yeah.
It's just a play on the name, guys. I understand. We don't understand it.
Wait, who's gatekeeping mermaids?
I don't know. Apparently
What do
the
you
right
like
now.
never swim? Do you
Of
swim
course I
ever?
swim.
Well, guys, it's enough, honestly.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I will go buy a mermaid tail just for y'all.
Kyle started with Bible videos. I mean, that makes sense, but I mean, he's missed the opportunity. He's well branded. Um, yeah, somebody's pointing out it's like what you did with your Mr. Atheist era. Right. But what happened when I stopped
Oh.
doing Mr. Atheist?
You changed the name of the channel.
Just saying, I brought it. I'm just saying, guys, I get it. I don't know. Maybe he also knows not to change the name to Kyle Kalinske because Kalinske, that as a last name, might have him some issues. He might not want to be nah, he goes out there with his first name. Kalinske, is that a Jewish name? I don't know. I
I
feel
have
like
no idea.
it
I don't
sounds kind of like it. I mean, he might get some trouble with people who are mad he's got a Jewish sounding last name. I don't know. Wait, it sounds like Polish almost.
Klinsky. I mean, I've heard the last name before.
Yeah.
Polish. Yeah. Someone is saying Polish doesn't mean that it's Jewish.
Yeah. Nor does it mean it isn't. But I
Yeah,
hear you. It's primarily Polish. Whoa, did I guess that correctly immediately? That's crazy.
you did.
How would I
Yeah.
even know that? What do I know about what names sound Polish? I
That's
cannot
a good
name for
question.
if somebody's like, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, Klinsky sounds Polish. Like, what's another Polish name? I'd literally be like, light bulb. I don't know.
Light bulb.
That's that. All I know about Polish people is there used to be a lot of racist or ethnicist jokes about. I don't what category would that be? Anti.
Oh,
There used to be how many Polish people does it take to? Are we allowed to say the word that they used for Polish people, or is that like considered a like a don't say slur?
maybe. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I
Yeah.
will say it's the SKI that they're saying that indicates it's Polish. So usually if it ends in ski.
Yeah. When is Jimmy going
Wait,
to
does
collab
that
with
mean
Kyle? I doubt I have a large enough platform that he would consider me valuable. Unfortunately, that's how a lot of YouTubers assess. We're
oh,
sort of
I'm not
the
really looked that up.
outlier in that we bring people of all things. This isn't even meant to be a criticism of him. His channel's doing well. He's you know, but that's just kind of YouTubers in general. 90% of a YouTuber's assessment usually is
Oh
how
wow.
what's their following like. Whereas obviously you can see from the people we hire, we have a diverse group of people who some of them were very small when they started and are now very big. I'd say somebody like Promise. And that's part of why we like to find people when they're small, because I think I'm pretty good at knowing who's got that potential and going for them. But it'd be cool. I'd probably do something with Kyle,
Yeah, he's got like
especially now.
one video where yeah, he's got the platinum blonde hair and looks super tanned in it and it does not look right.
Bro, I'll tell him. I'll tell him if we ever collab.
Like man, you the
Whew.
platinum it's just not doing it for you. I agree with that one. It's just not. It's oh my gosh, that's so weird.
Yeah. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, so we got
can you
one
name a single other Polish name?
Blueski. I'm totally
Like the
kidding.
Twitter alternative?
I just wanted to say it, yeah.
Yeah.
Blue sky.
Yeah.
No,
Uh,
I honestly couldn't. I can tell you a French name. Does that count?
sure. Colin, don't be a coward. Just put it in the chat. So can I
Uh,
email you regarding a turn I've seen pop up on the line? You can email me about anything. Doesn't mean I'm going to read it or see it but I probably will. Just put it in the
Wazowski.
chat.
That's funny. Um,
Nick Wazowski.
Dufresne is a French last name.
Burkowski, Stivik, Zuolanska. This is cool. I'm learning about all these names I've never even fucking
Taliki.
heard of.
Taliki.
Taliki.
Malinowski. I can't say that one.
I would if
Vesnesk. I
my
can't.
last name was Taliki, I would go find somebody and hyphenate with
Walenska.
their last name if their last name was Mabals.
Brozo. Oh my God. I'm sorry. I'm trying. I am going to butcher it. Brozozowski. Oh my gosh. It sounded like too much.
Taliski Mabals. I think that'd be really funny. That'd be all right.
Brozowski.
Brzezowski and
Brazos.
Isles.
Brazovsky. Why are there two ZOs?
I don't know.
If it's Brazowski, why are there two ZO? Like, I
Too
get
much.
it, but dang, that was a lot.
Roman Polanski. Terrible example. All right, let's get into
Gorski.
calls.
Okay.
As long as we feel like it. I do not feel well today, guys, so we'll see. I feel worse than I was earlier. Maybe I got all my energy out fucking with that jackass who called in earlier. Anyway,
All right.
Adam in Pennsylvania. Adam in Pennsylvania, you're on the line with Jimmy and Ari. Adam, before we get started, how old are you?
I'm 26. And what other questions you have? Sorry.
In the last two elections, who did you vote for president?
Trump.
Both times?
Yeah.
How'd you feel about
times,
him?
So.
You voted for him 3 times?
Yeah, I voted for him the first time he ran, or yeah, the first time he ran, second and third.
You said you're 26 years
Actually,
old?
I can't. Yeah, I forgot. I was only campaigning for him the first time.
I was going to say, it sounds like you might be accidentally admitting to a little bit of voter fraud here if you voted for him the first time.
Yeah, no.
It's happened on this channel
Time
a
just
couple of
rolls with
times
me.
before. We've had a few people admit to voter fraud on this channel. Guess what party they were?
They admit to anything
I
nowadays.
mean, Republicans aren't good. Anyway, so I was interested in calling in about the school bombing.
Okay.
Would you mind if we pick that up?
You're talking about when the initial strike happened on
February 28th.
Yeah, that the
In
Tomahawk missile which hit the school that killed innocent children.
That's right. Now, the position I'm going to maintain that I want to argue to be more charitable to charitable to the military and their intentions, and also that it does not
Why?
meet well, I'm going to continue just so I'm clarifying it here.
Uh-huh.
To be charitable towards their intentions, as well
Uh-huh.
as to argue that it does not meet the standard of a war crime with the information that we have now.
Why?
And some facts I want to provide for
No, no,
this.
no, no, no,
Dang
no,
it.
no, no. I let you finish because you were. I'm gonna finish. You said I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna finish. I let you finish, and then I asked my same question. Why would you grant them that charitable? If basically, if you're calling in to say I disagree with the facts of what happened on the basis that I am being more charitable than you, then you first need to defend that your charitability is warranted here.
Hey, Luthien, I'm frozen.
You probably got to toggle your camera
I
in
already
Zoom on
did.
and off.
Oh, in Zoom. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So Adam, why
Okay.
should we? It won't matter if you do that if we're not willing to
There we
grant
go.
it. So why should we grant a more charitable interpretation to the military?
Because the definition of a war crime requires it. And I say that because I'm looking at the document for the elements of crimes on the International Criminal Court. And in Article 8.2b, regarding the crimes of attacking civilians, element 3, let's see, it says that perpetrator intended the civilian population as such, or individual civilians not taking direct part in the hostilities, to be the object of attack. Now, I'll grant that all elements of that are met except for one, and one is the key part here: intent. Now, the facts we know regarding the school are
So
a U.S.
wait, to
Tomahawk
be clear,
missile
Adam, you
hit the
believe that
school and killed.
if it wasn't intentional, like they weren't hoping to kill those schoolgirls, but they did act with negligence, and that negligence was so incompetent that they ended up deliberately attacking that location. And because it was so negligent, unfortunately, people they didn't intend to kill. Essentially, it seems like you're saying, unless you believe that the way the law works entirely based on that one article, it, correct me if I'm wrong, you believe that civilian deaths are only a war crime if the target, an intended target, was civilians.
Well, we're using a technical term here, war crime. That's not just
Would you
something
confirm
that
whether or not what I just said
some
is
mom
correct or
from
not?
downtown comes up with. A war crime that has to deal with the simplicity
Adam.
of law, and law all hinges
Adam.
on
Would you-
words here.
would
So
you-
address what Jimmy just said. He was very, he stated it very clearly, and I appreciated the way he stated it. So can you address and clarify if we have your meaning correctly? Or have your meaning correct, sorry.
Okay, so he's correct in stating that I'm saying that intent must be established for it to be a war crime.
And are you
Fantastic.
positive that that's all that is required?
Well, I'm looking at the document right now. It even begins the document.
Yep, you're looking at one.
International Criminal Court. I'm looking at the document for the International Criminal Court, and it begins the whole document regarding war crimes, saying that intent must be established for this thing. So the umbrella statement.
How long is this document you're looking at?
The whole document requires intent, as well as this article.
How long is that article you're
What
looking
about-
at?
At the top here?
Well, it
Because-
actually, go ahead, sorry. And then I
Is
have
this
one.
is this the
I'm
Geneva
going to find the
Convention?
document for you. So it's
Oh, so you're not looking
says-
at it.
International Criminal Court, Elements of Crimes. And if you're just word searching for Google to pick up the words, it begins with explanatory note, the structure of the elements of the
Mhm.
crimes of genocide, crimes against humanity. So if you just put that in quotes in Google, it should pull it up, I assume.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I'm good. Hey, what is Article 57 of the Geneva Convention? What does it do?
I don't know. I mean, do you favor
Wait,
the
wait,
Geneva
but you're
Convention's
telling me
definition
what
of
the
war crime?
requirements are. Is violating the Geneva Convention a war crime?
I don't know what the particulars of it are.
Is violating the
I'm just
Geneva
vague.
Convention a war crime?
Probably. I haven't seen what they state it is.
It
Illegal,
feels like you're
sure,
calling
but
in with a single place where you feel like here's a place where the law wasn't broken. It's almost like I stole a car and you're reading me the law about how punishment is issued out if I've only stolen candy. And there's a candy stealing law, and you're reading me the candy stealing law and telling me that it applies to the stealing the car. So, since you're calling in with a strong opinion that you're presenting confidently, I really need those confident yes or no's. So, I need to ask once again, would a violate, I'll give you a hint with the wording. I'll increase the intensity. Would a serious violation of the Geneva Convention be considered war crimes?
you're asking me to comment on a document that I haven't read.
Okay, well
So
then
that's my
don't call in
hesitancy
and
there, okay?
wait. Then
Can you understand that?
Adam. No, we can't. Are you letting go then that you are certain that it was not a war crime to bomb that school?
Okay, I'll get real particular with my words here, and I think you might be willing to grant this. So what I'm going to get particular with is under the definition of the International Criminal Court, the facts of the case of the bombing of this elementary school do not rise to the level of definitively becoming a war crime.
No, I don't agree with that, because I actually agree with the opposite, because Article 57 is why it absolutely is a war crime.
Correct. And you're discounting from, like, you're moving away from the gross negligence that the Trump administration engaged in prior to committing this, because prior to 2025, after Donald Trump, prior to Donald Trump being inaugurated, we had a division within the Department of Defense, when it was still named that, called the Civilian Protection Center of Excellence, right? And the DoD closed that under his leadership, which then led to the gross negligence that we saw, where we targeted a school that had been a school since 2018, where we can pull civilian satellite imagery and see that it had been up in operation since 2018. So this has been a school for kids for 8 years. And somehow the greatest military intelligence, per our own president and his words, missed it.
So do you want me to just read you the articles? Are you ready to get educated? I don't.
Can I jump in on
Adam,
that point?
Adam, I think we're going to let you comment on it. But the thing is that you have called in once again confidently with a position and have revealed yourself to not actually know the supporting evidence. You couldn't argue my side of this argument if you wanted to. You couldn't argue my side accurately and well. And so the fact that we're catching you off guard, like, and I don't even know to what level it goes. Like, what is the Geneva Convention? Do you know that?
It was established after World War II to regard the specific conduct of war that's permitted. Or was World War One, maybe?
I feel this is
after one of them.
No, it's after World War II. It's from 1949, and it's for their treaties, and it basically lays down the basic rules of war. Violating them is a war crime. Whatever you were Googling a minute ago, I would like you to go and Google Geneva Convention, Article 52, and I'd like you to read to us at least paragraph 1 and paragraph 3, and then I will, following that, have an additional article for you to pull up, and you tell me how under the Geneva Convention, if the intelligence we have is accurate, that the negligence was not, it's not unanticipatable. It is laughable, except that kids are dead. How bad they got this. That this would not, at minimum, even if you think they will have a good defense, is worthy of trying and having an investigation and a hearing about whether or not it was a war crime. Do you have Article 52 up yet?
I don't. But here's the thing. It
Then
seems
I
like
will
we're
read
getting
them.
down to
There isn't a
who
here's the
likes
thing.
who likes
We're
their
not
document.
we're not
So it's
getting down to a
entirely
here's the thing.
possible.
There's nothing about liking the document. The Geneva Convention is not optional if you're Republican versus Democrat.
I'd
So
never
since
said
you're
that.
not going to read it, I was giving you instructions. I'll read it to you. Here's Article 52, paragraph 1. Civilian objects shall not be the object of an attack or reprisals. Civilian objects are all objects which are not military as defined in paragraph 2. Here's paragraph 2. Attacks shall be limited strictly to military objectives. Insofar as objects are concerned, military objectives are limited to those objects which by their nature, location, purpose, or use make an effective contribution to military action and whose total or partial destruction, capture, or neutralization in the circumstances ruling at the time offer a definite military advantage. Paragraph 3. In case of doubt, whether an object which is normally dedicated to civilian purposes, such as a place of worship, a house or dwelling, or a school, is being used to make an effective contribution to military action, it shall be presumed not to be so used. So essentially, Article 52, you are not allowed to bomb things like schools. And if you aren't sure, if you have doubt whether or not it is a school or a military target, you opt with it's a school. You use an abundance of caution. Mm-hmm. Would you like now to just read the title of Article 57?
Okay, so I'm willing to grant that the Geneva Convention, under the Geneva Convention, does not require intent, and therefore it's a violation of the Geneva Convention.
Which would be
I'm merely contending. If they call it a war crime, I guess it's a war crime. But I'm merely contending.
If they call it a war crime, I guess it's a war crime. So then you're done. You said it's not a war crime. You're now acknowledging it is. I just gave you Article 52, which is cited in Article 57, and you seem terrified to actually go and read Article 57.
I'm not. The thing is, we have two different documents. Two things can be true at once. The Geneva Convention, it can be a violation of the Geneva Convention, but it can also not be a violation of the directives given out by the International Criminal Court. I'm just saying that here's a definition that it does not meet.
Actually, I'm going to pause you there for a second. No, I'm going to pause you there for a second. Out of the two, or we'll actually do three bodies of organizations. Okay, you have the ICC, the ICJ, and the Geneva Conventions. Which one do you think the United States of America recognizes? Or do they recognize all three?
Geneva Convention, I expect, because I know there was some contention over the indictments that the ICC wanted to do.
No, we've just never acknowledged the authority of the ICC or the ICJ. So out of that, and since it is considered a war crime by the Geneva Convention, then that's what we have to go by, not the ICC or the ICJ, because we don't even recognize them as our country itself. But we do recognize the Geneva Convention. That's a part of the UN Charter.
So America would literally only hold itself responsible to the one you're now trying to ignore.
Well, I'm going to argue that the Geneva Convention's definition of a war crime in the paragraphs you described are less appropriate than the one I read to you, because the intent is actually
doesn't matter. Great. Go argue it to the Donald Trump. Go argue it to the president. Go argue it to the Congress and the Supreme Court, because you arguing it with us doesn't matter. Literally, the U.S. recognizes the Geneva Convention and not the ICC.
Yep, and we based our law of war manual off of the Geneva Conventions.
Okay, that's fine. But also realize, by going by that definition, every stray bullet is a war crime.
No, it isn't. Nope. This is, you wouldn't have made this dumb fucking point. You would have not made have not made this dumb fucking point if you had followed instructions in the first place. Article 57, if you had read the title and maybe the first paragraph, you would have gone, boy, you know what'll sound stupid? If I were to say that according to the Geneva Convention, every stray bullet. And remember, this wasn't a stray bullet. The Tomahawk missile, as far as we know, landed where they sent it, not off course, because it was a target based on outdated information, and they decided to opt for their outdated information over their more current information, which showed it was a school. So not a stray bullet. And had you merely read Article 57, maybe just the title would have given it away to you. Since I don't suspect Adam is now looking it up, I'll just share with everybody else.
I am.
Article 57 is precautions in attack. And essentially, it is all about how much precaution you need to take. It understands, the Geneva Convention, that civilian deaths are going to happen, but they can't be willy-nilly, and they can't be according to essentially negligence. You can't claim, our bad, we were trying to attack them, but that missile that landed in the place we sent it, it turned out went to the wrong place. This is about precaution. And in fact, it even cites Article 52 in paragraph 2, subsection A, subsection I. I don't remember what a subsection is called. It's an article, section, subsection. That was my bad. What's that?
I have it open here. It says, those who plan to decide upon an attack shall, I, do everything feasible to verify that the objectives to be attacked are neither civilians nor civilian objects, and are not to special protection, but are military objectives within the meaning of paragraph 2, Article 52, that is not prohibited by the provisions of this protocol to attack.
Thank you for going straight to 2AI, which is the thing they failed to do and the exact war crime they committed.
Yep, because that's exactly what
There's some wording there we need to pay attention to, okay?
Yeah, I'm sure your interpretation, based on how so far you've interpreted the law, I'm sure your interpretation is going to blow our mind. Let's do it.
So sure, if you want to go based off of hold on. Yeah, I know you want to go based off of feasible. I would actually argue that it's not feasible to not update or double check your satellite imagery and make sure that it's not 8 years old.
Right. And by the way, civilian centers were able to verify that that was the wrong target within hours, that target was a civilian target. They have more access than civilians do. So everything feasible for a U.S. government has to be every tool that a random civilian could have. And the fact that they were exposed by non-military for doing it would suggest they did, in fact, not do everything feasible. By the way, there's already evidence they already knew it was a school and potentially decided to opt for the older intelligence and go, yeah, but what if it's not? What if it's not a school? We know it's a school now, but what if it's not? What if that's just a trick?
And the fact that we've had other reporting where we show that, we have other ballistics experts that are denying the United States claims that they didn't strike a sports hall or another school that was empty at the time for both of them, luckily. But ballistic experts have said otherwise because it's a unique type of brand new missile the U.S. hasn't even used before.
And so, Adam, the questions I would have for you are two-part. One, with that definition, I'm not asking you to condemn them as guilty, as I'm happy to do. Surely, though, on the basis of this new information that apparently you're for the first time being exposed to, you would call for a hearing for the U.S. to face trial for a potential war crime and to show their evidence that they actually did do everything feasible. That's part one. And part two of the question is, if the U.S. was so in the right on this, why did the U.S. lie for so long? And why was Donald Trump lying even after his own people admitted it was a Tomahawk? Why were we lying about it being us?
So I don't know, I'm not going to do any crystal ball work here to get in the heads of people.
Or research.
They said or didn't say about Tomahawk missiles, but I'm going to focus on a different element of being feasible. So you're saying merely that civilians.
You're not going to answer my first question? Do you need it repeated to you?
Sure, go ahead.
With what you have heard so far, do you not support us being tried for war crimes and having to prove we did everything feasible?
You know what? I'd be in favor of an investigation for that, sure.
No, a trial.
I think the U.S. would come out on top, but...
Great, a trial.
I mean...
Not an internal
Yes,
investigation,
because
not
I'm
Pete
confident that we'd
Hegseth
come out
going.
being not guilty.
Yeah.
Good.
Now, the element
I'm glad
of
we
feasible that I
agree.
think you're going.
I'm glad we agree that there is enough evidence to warrant an indictment and a trial of the United States for war crimes.
Okay, now the thing I want to focus on here with the feasible part is you're leaping from this particular investigation is possible on civilians, therefore it must be feasible for the military. Now, there's a point.
Are
that I
you
think you're going there,
saying
which
that
is limits of
the
resources.
United States military is incapable of checking their own satellite imagery?
They're capable of it. We don't know how many
They
attacks
are.
took
Okay,
place
so then
that day.
fantastic. I'm glad you can acknowledge that, because capable is actually utilized in the definition of feasible, which, of course, feasible is capable of being done or carried out. So now that you've acknowledged that we have the capacity, to check our satellite imagery, it was absolutely feasible for them to do it.
Okay, so are you familiar with the difference between a sufficient condition and a necessary condition?
Go ahead and explain it.
That's the difference I think we're focusing on here. So a necessary condition is something that's required for something to be true.
That is a necessary condition to double check your work.
A sufficient condition is something that is sufficient to establish something as true, and it needs no other conditions be met.
Why are you trying to invoke sufficient versus necessary when discussing the word feasible?
Because
which definition of feasible would you like? The one from the ICRC or the state definition? Which one would you like? Because none of them use necessary or sufficient.
Because when you're talking about it, you're saying that it's possible, therefore it's feasible. I think that's a
no. The ICRC is saying no. The ICRC says practicable and practically possible. Those are the words they use. The ICRC's definition of feasible is what is practicable or practically possible, taking into account all the circumstances at the time, including humanitarian and military considerations. Is there a different definition of feasible pointed at Article 57 that you would like to investigate and use for your support? Or is this going to be another thing where you don't actually know these laws and you think, Adam, how long ago did you get your law degree? I want to know for sure, like how competent you are on this position.
I don't have a law degree. I just
so then I'm not really interested in your fly of the pants definitions. If you were at least researched on this, I wouldn't give a fuck that you don't have a law degree. But you're in here trying to, in the moment, act like you're goddamn Matlock. But you're more like Charlie and his bird theories, which he did win. He won a trial on bird law, for the record. He did win one.
I'm just maintaining that the position of I don't know is more appropriate here than the position that you're taking, which is we can definitively know this or that. It's always easier to say that we don't know something.
Yeah, you're the guy who's like saying you should be doing innocent until proven guilty to the person who witnessed the murder, and you witnessed it too. Yes, I am willing to definitively say it looks extremely likely, and every day the case has gotten stronger since, that the United States was at best acting negligent and at not worst, honestly, more reasonably reckless in choosing their targets.
And again, the Department of Defense, under the direction of Pete Hegseth, dismantled the section within that had the capacity and the job and the duty to reduce our chances of hitting a clear civilian target that had been at school since 2018. There is no excuse, literally no excuse.
Okay, I'd like to take issue with that point, on the point that saying that it's clear, because the building we're talking about, I don't remember you bringing this up yesterday, but the building we're talking about, while there has been some changes since, it was actually a part of the military base.
Prior to 2013, that is correct. I acknowledge that in whichever conversation I had yesterday. Yeah, prior to 2013, it was a part of the military complex. And then between 2013 and 2016, you can obtain satellite imagery that shows that they built and walled it off and created brand new entrances just to the school. And then in 2018, you can see in satellite imagery that they are clearly walled off with separate entrances, plus have clear playgrounds with children's art on it. And you can see that in all of the satellite imagery from 2018 and on. So which part are you arguing? Is it that the United States military, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to add on top of that, by the way, that wasn't why we knew that. Satellite imagery is what they had access to on top of that. The reason why we found out is because there was lots of images and documentation of the wall going up in 2016 and the separation happened. So the initial discovery of, guys, this is a school outside the military base, was on the ground photos that existed publicly. So they weren't fucking researching shit. And then it's easily confirmed. This is the evidence that confirms it, the satellite imagery. So had they just done the satellite imagery, they would have had it. Once again, you're sitting here and just going like, yeah, I just don't like your confidence that this administration, which has already funded a genocide, supported a genocide, which has already been reckless, which has already done this stupid thing down in Venezuela where they are constantly lying about what their goals are and what they got out of it, that this time, when once again, you don't have a good answer for if it was a legitimate collateral damage, why did they lie about it? If it was legitimate and it's just sad collateral damage, why'd they lie about it? Because they have no problem defending collateral damage. They've been doing it the whole time Trump has been in office for the explosion of collateral damage in Gaza, in Lebanon. They're fine with that. So why'd they lie? And to me, when you're going, and you guys are just willing to say this definitively, well, they're making the case real easy for us to definitively argue it.
Well, as far as the why they lie, I mean, it's simple. Like, it didn't look good, and people aren't gonna sit
Gaza
down
didn't
to
look
have
good.
a whole hashing out of the facts and international law. The sound
It didn't look good because
even
it
if
was
the
a
full
crime.
Investigation is all right.
It didn't look good because it was a crime. We already just went over it. They don't mind collateral damage looking bad. The Gaza war's online. You can watch the videos of kids being blown to bits. They don't mind that because they can justify it. This was a school that was the intended target that was hit at the GPS location they were trying to hit by a Tomahawk missile and killed a large number of children. The reason why it looked bad wasn't because it was like all the other shit they were doing that also optically looks bad, but because they committed a war crime.
Well, okay, so the hiding piece, I think, can be illustrated as to why they hit it without, or why they didn't say it was a Tomahawk missile, without it being necessarily a war crime. I'll illustrate that with a somewhat parallel issue. I don't want to get into hashing out the whole thing itself, but I'm going to compare it to the obscuring the Wuhan research lab, where, I mean, the lab wouldn't necessarily have been doing anything that wasn't above board, but the soundbite of we were doing gain of function research looks bad in the sound bites in public.
No,
so
you don't get it. Adam, you got
to
to stop there. You got to stop there because you said you don't want to hash out. Just want to use it as a comparison, as though we wouldn't now hash out whether or not you are accurately representing it when you are, in fact, representing right-wing propaganda. Shut the fuck up, dude. No, there is no. Okay, I'm going to talk over you right now. Shut the fuck up. That's not how this works. Muted, bitch. You're not going to go in and go, as a metaphor, I'm going to use another fucking conspiracy. I don't want to hash it out. But since I said that at the beginning, just let the conspiracy hang on your fucking thing.
Yep.
That's not how it's going to work. So either you take it back and go, I don't want to rely on that, and I want to go with a metaphor that doesn't require a tinfoil fucking hat, or we're going to hash it out. And don't try talking over me.
I don't even care about the Wuhan issue.
I don't even care about your metaphor. You have shown that you don't understand fundamentally any of the stuff you've talked about so far. And you were coming in trying to quote laws that the country doesn't even fucking recognize. And then you were trying to deny that the Geneva Convention should be the sole thing that we actually are going off of. Then you find out that is the only one the US recognizes. So once you lose on the like, I want to rely more on the ICC point or the ICJ point, well, you can't because America doesn't recognize them. Then you only then being forced to engage the Geneva Convention. And now you're trying to make it, well, you know, as I'm reading the Geneva Convention and this word feasible, now I'm only in this place I didn't want to be in the first fucking place. So now I'm going to argue that the word feasible has something to do with necessary versus sufficient. And then I'm going to bring up goddamn Wuhan. Jesus Christ, Adam, pick a goddamn lane and stay in it and learn to admit when you actually don't know, and learn to admit when people might, with more information than you, might be justified in having a more definitive opinion. It's crazy you equaled our confidence in your position and yet didn't have equal amounts of support and information.
Well, we didn't finish hashing out the feasible point because we were I was trying to bring up
to invoke
the
Wuhan
point about resources, but you just went on your monologue about it and didn't let me finish. So
whine more. To the person who said, nope, I'm muting. To the person who said, Matt Crackwise says, wait, is Jimmy not a lab leak conspiracist anymore? I was never a lab leak conspiracist. I was always I am content to not eliminate the possibility. We still have never traced the actual origin. And it's not like theirs is a government we can trust. And I am fine with going, our intelligence agencies have not ruled it out, even before Trump got in, and I don't rule it out. I don't think it's crazy for a person, the way Jon Stewart put it. I don't think it's crazy for a person to go, the chocolatey goodness that came from came in Hershey, Pennsylvania, might have started at the factory. But I also recognize, and this is the point I made last time, Adam, so you weren't paying attention then either, the point I made last time, Adam, was also, it could also be that the whole reason why they built the Hershey, for the metaphor to work, the chocolate factory in Hershey, Pennsylvania, was because there was already chocolatey goodness there. And some element of that is definitely true. So, for the record, if you're going to call me a lab leak conspiracy theorist, those are the people who believe definitively it did come from the lab. The most controversial thing I say is any person who just says, let's just eliminate it, you aren't being reasonable. We don't have the definitive starting point, and to say that won't be the place that you're going to even consider when multiple intelligence agencies under Biden weren't willing to eliminate it, and some had even increased their confidence or their probability that it had come from there, that eliminating it does nothing good for us. It's hard enough to defend my own positions than have to defend the way other people represent them. It's very frustrating.
Yeah, that is true.
I'm bringing it up with an
all right, I've unbeeped you, Adam.
Sorry, go ahead.
That beep meant you're unmuted.
Oh, okay, so you can hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So the gain of function thing with the Wuhan, I wasn't even bringing up that as like I'm not saying anything about lab leak hypothesis. I'm just using it as an example of PR damage control when you're actually not in the wrong.
And we would have to grant it, your understanding and your representation of it is true, to use it as a viable metaphor. And I'm not going to. So you can either shift to a metaphor we can, or you can, because I'm not putting on my, I'm not even agreeing to put on my hat just for the sake of argument.
That's fine.
You are a conspiracy. No, you are. For sure you are.
It didn't say that, but all right, I guess we'll just have to move on.
Great.
Anyway, the point about being feasible versus possible is where I wanted to go here.
Sure. So what's the definition of feasible? Okay, if you want to get semantical, we will.
Could you say that again? I missed the word there.
I actually gave you the definition of feasible earlier.
And so did I, actually. You gave the Geneva Convention's definition. I just gave the fucking dictionary definition of it. I said if you want to play semantics, then play the semantics. So define feasible.
Well, I've got the individual portion of the Geneva Convention up, not the whole document, so I don't have the definition. So if you could share that with me, that'd be great.
The ICRC interpretations. The Geneva Convention doesn't itself define it. Many states have, and the ICRC, I said IGRC the first time, which would have IRGC, which would have been really
Not
funny.
that, yeah.
Yeah, their definition's what matters.
So the definition per dictionary of feasible is just capable of being done or being carried out. What's the ICRC's definition, Jimmy?
What is practicable or practically possible, taking into account all circumstances at the time, including humanitarian and military considerations. Later on, with the later treaties and state practice, like with Belgium, Canada, and the UK, they recorded that feasible means what is practicable and practically possible given the circumstances, including both protecting civilians and achieving the mission. And that wording was then later copied into weapons treaties. Excuse me.
Okay, so that's a definition I can work with.
Great. So, now we're going to find out what words in there you don't agree with.
No, let's take them. The point is what they mean in the context of the situation. So
exactly. Literally exactly what I just said. Now you're going to pick words. I literally just said that. You're like, no.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is you're literally now going to go, okay, the same thing I just did with feasible. I'm going to go grab a word out of there. And now I'm going to say, okay, but I don't think it's with the word practicable or practically possible means like it's literally going to be a Jordan Peterson. Let's define the words all the way down each time on the basis that you don't know what the word is, but you think there's a version of that word that will work for you. I feel like I am chewing on my own dick right now. The only reason you're still on, Adam, is I'm waiting for another MAGA caller to come in. MAGA. Surely you can do better. You can have a position that is backed up and you're not having to learn what your sources were supposed to be.
Come on, guys.
From the onset and then trying to adjust to them as you go. The phone number's right there, 336-543-2101. The bar is set so low right now, guys. Anyway, which word were you going to take umbrage with?
Saying that the reason why I'm saying that it's workable is because it's the definitions you provided.
Yeah.
The dictionary and the interpretation you gave by different courts, those two definitions are getting a little bit swapped in my head. So pardon me if I'm mixing them a little bit. But
what's the definition of the word what?
They do have an element of allowing for what's reasonable given the facts on the ground. Now we don't know what.
I'm sorry. At no point was it what's reasonable given the resources on the ground was that given there. It was everything that is practically possible. Google Earth already had the updated images. Google Earth already had the satellite images. The civilian population, basically, the only way you can say this wasn't practically possible is if we aren't the most rich, capable intelligence agency and military force in the world. And in fact, we are amongst the least because we can't afford Google Maps, which is a free service. But you do need the internet. We can hire a bunch of random 19-year-olds to cut the budget up and put it through Chat GPT, but we can't borrow those fucking children and bring them over and be like, hey, here's the addresses. Could you guys go hit these up on Google and make sure none of them are fucking civilian targets? None of them are schools. And then they might come back and go, we're feeling funky about this one with all the hopscotch on it.
Well, we just have to establish that they could strain that the military situation at the moment could strain their resources enough that they couldn't do any greater reconnaissance, intelligence.
No, I don't have to accept that. No, I don't have to accept that. That is you speculating based on zero precedent. In fact, all of the precedent is when it comes to war, we have more resources than we ever need and use. Our budget is so high, we'll always have money and never run out of it to do more.
I mean, we know that.
The Geneva Convention is it you must do this unless you decided to spend that money on the Tomahawk that you hit the school with instead. That's not how the crime things work. Oh, we don't have the resources because we spent it on the Tomahawks that we killed civilians with. That's fucking redacted as fuck.
Okay, so it seems like our point of disagreement here is merely on the point of, I think that it's an open possibility that there was a limit in resources or limit in human work hours in that particular operations intelligence. I think that's a possibility. You don't think that's a possibility, and
I think it's a dumb.
don't
I think
there's
it's a dumb
anything you
way
can
of
provide for me
wording. I
that's
think it's a
not
dumb way of
classified that
wording.
would
I think
sway
it's a
me.
dumb way
That's
of
all.
wording. What you're essentially saying is they didn't have the resources because they spent it all on missiles instead. And again, the Geneva Convention does not give you space for if instead of spending the money to clear your targets as non-civilian, you bought extra missiles. That's not a thing in the Geneva Convention. So even if that's what happened, Adam, let's say you somehow were right, then it would still be a war crime because we were using our resources wrong. Because we had plenty of money and things to do it. Instead, we bought extra Tomahawk missiles, for posing for pictures with them and the shit. It would literally your position here, Adam, of the resources were spent so they couldn't afford to check if their targets were civilians or not would still be a war crime.
Okay, I guess we'll see how the court case turns out, because I'd rather look at the specific facts on the ground.
There's not going to be a court case.
What specific facts on the ground?
I don't. It's possible.
There's not going to be a court case. The
Facts of
U.S.
what was
will
going on in
obstruct
the department,
and
the
threaten to
emails
pull
that
out
they
of
would never
NATO
release
and
unless
do
they were
dumb.
subpoenaed.
There's not going to be a court case.
Well, no, he was
Obama
saying the
never-
facts on the ground. I was just curious about the like that, and the fact that, again, we do know that Pete Hegseth dismantled the one part within the Department of Defense whose job was literally this, under his promise to make lethality a top priority.
When was Barack Obama tried, or his administration tried, for war crimes? Do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head. I was a kid then.
Yeah, never.
Yeah.
Even though basically the whole world agrees that the drone strikes were war crimes. When was Donald Trump in his first term, who then expanded that drone war crime program? When was his international court trial for war crimes using drones?
So you're just establishing that there hasn't been court cases about war crimes with the U.S., therefore we can't expect one? Is that what you're leading up to? Because, I mean, I'm willing to grant that. Sure.
Who's going to try it, just out of curiosity, real quick?
I mean,
Who
I
would
don't
try
know.
the case?
I mean, I guess
Take your best guess.
ICJ, I think, was a group
We
you
don't
mentioned
recognize
before.
them, and Donald Trump has sanctions on the ICJ, so no, that's not going to happen.
Okay, well, the Geneva Convention, as far as my understanding of it, correct me if I'm wrong, it's a document of like a treaty. It's not a governing body, correct? So they couldn't try anything.
So
Correct.
who enforces the Geneva Convention?
So repeat that again, please.
Who enforces the Geneva Convention?
United Nations?
I mean,
Or a
they're in
subgroup of
there.
it?
Amongst them, they're in there.
Okay, I don't know
Literally,
what
the people who
department
signed
of
the
the United Nations
conventions
does it.
are the people who, in theory, have to enforce them. So you're asked, when the trial happens, the investigation happens. When's the last time, since the inception of the United States, do you believe we've ever committed war crimes?
I'm willing to say it's possible. I'm willing to. I'm not
Okay,
willing to
possible.
be definitive
Sure.
and say that it's
Okay.
definitely not.
We literally dropped atomic bombs on a group of people who were already going to be quitting the war to just show we could. But yeah, maybe we committed war crimes. That's cool. How many times have we ever had an administration or the United States has ever been tried for war crimes?
I mean, if you know one, I mean, you know more than me on that. So tell me.
Only the people.
It's just fun. I mean, you just tried to make the point. Essentially, we'll see how it. Basically, you were writing on. I was basically expressing that my opinion is better than yours, and it is. And your response was, "Well, we'll see how the trial goes," as though that is going to later, in a later date, it's going to validate you that actually your opinion was better. There will never be a trial, and there never has been. Committing war crimes is just something you do as a president and you don't worry about it anymore. There isn't anybody coming to rescue. If Donald Trump goes full Hitler, the people who will stop them will not be stopping him because they care about Jews or anybody who could be genocided. They will stop him if he is going to economically affect them, if it's going to be bad for them, if their people will die, if their billionaires will die. Nobody is going to fucking court for committing war crimes from the Trump administration, from the Biden administration, from the Clinton administration, from the Obama administration, from either Bush administration. Mm-hmm. All of them are alive except for Bush Sr., but his administration is. All of those administrations have a lot of living people, all of which committed war crimes. Ain't shit happening.
And the only people that get held responsible are the soldiers who carried out the act.
Sometimes, if not then glorified in some. Sometimes they get caught if it looks too bad. Otherwise it's glorified. The number of veterans who from the Iraq War who will talk about the crazy shit they did and like, yeah, I don't feel good about it. But one time we were just doing target practice and we were shooting a bunch of machine guns over a hill. And then we found out there was a village over there and there were probably a bunch of people died. But, we didn't know.
We didn't know, so
I don't feel good about it, but that shit like that happens all the time over there. Not around the poppy seed fields, though. Those things were protected. Anyway, Adam, you got to be tired of taking L after L like this.
I just think it ultimately comes down to that we're going to disagree on
facts,
whether or not we have all the information, including that which could possibly eliminate the possibility that feasibility is out of the picture and that intent is out of the picture.
Yeah, you're just a true agnostic. You're like, you're saying that you think you have sufficient evidence to make the necessary conclusion, just using some of your words back again, that this is clearly our bad and Donald Trump is a war criminal. And I'm just going to say my agnosticism is superior. Like there might be videos of the guy raping that girl, but like, what if we don't know that there's a video that would prove an alien was controlling their body? Like you don't know that they weren't being mind controlled. And they were doing gain of function mind control in Wuhan as a metaphor. This is what it's been like talking to you, Adam. May the universe have mercy on your brain.
Okay, so I think we've established where we disagree, and you just don't find my position to be credible.
Yeah, I mean, because like, how do you just accidentally bomb a school that's been a school for 8 years?
I think it took me 9 seconds at the beginning of this call 15 minutes ago to establish where we disagree. My shit's based on the facts and yours is based on vibes. You tried to vibe interpret the Geneva Convention.
And then apply it with the ICJ, which again, the United States doesn't even recognize as any authority. So they have no authority over us.
At this point, I wonder if you're not pretending to play the part, Adam, because at this point I would have been too embarrassed and I would have pretended to be like super angry at something you said, like such righteous indignation. Like 30 minutes ago, I would have probably like collapsed into false righteous indignation and rage quit as though I was in the right. Like at this point, I'm like, are you just pretending? Are you like a leftist, like trying to help us out here? Because this was uniquely terrible. Usually MAGAs like you are calling in to just be like, I don't care if it was a war crime. It's a war crime I support.
I'm just interested in the debate. I mean, I do have my political position, but I'm honestly interested in
They're
the
bad
debate.
ones. They're bad ones. Voting for Trump is bad.
Okay, well.
Yeah, you're kind of a bigot for it too.
Super.
Yeah, but you don't mind that. I don't think you actually mind being intolerant of people based on immutable characteristics or religion or race or whatever else. Well, race is one of those immutable. I don't think you're bothered by it.
Okay, so if we're dissolving to insults, I think we're done here. So I'm going to leave.
Oh, brother, I called you stupid so many minutes ago.
Yeah. He's just now catching up.
I resorted to insults so long ago, Adam. Call back in if you think you can actually defend with facts any of your actual positions rather than, yeah, but I want to remain agnostic on the possibility that the racism is justified. That's the level of argument that you've been given here. All right, word. All right, bye, Adam.
Bye.
Okay. It's probably like, did he forget how to hang up?
No, we got him. We got him. This is one of those ones where, like, if you and I were doing, you and I haven't even met in person yet, right?
Nope.
But
we have not.
I think I already know about you that if we had just done that in person, say we were sitting in two chairs and then Adam walked away, I think we would just look at each other like he leaves. And I think it would take 3 minutes before we would break our look at each other because the nonverbal communication, we would, for 3 minutes, we would just like have a like, that guy look, and we'd just be stuck there, non-verbally communicating paragraphs of Jesus fucking Christ, that guy.
And the fact that, like, I don't even remember what my conversations were about yesterday, but he's like, I want to continue on whatever conversation Ari had with some random person yesterday. I don't think was him.
And here's what the deal is. We're going to take this next call in a moment. Here's what I'm bummed out about, guys. Legitimately. I hope you guys keep watching because at some point it's going to get better again. At some point they're going to have something to defend. But we're not going to get quality callers again for a little while. And this isn't just us. I know I'm off-putting. You don't have to keep telling me.
Uh-oh.
Okay, I know that. And a lot of people want to go, Jimmy's so off-putting. That's why the calls are bad. Legitimately, all the show's calls are bad. Like, nobody is having a good time with calls. Somebody was telling me the liberal twink Dean Withers was even having trouble getting calls. And that guy gets like 7,000 on YouTube live watchers. I know, I saw it before we went live and I went, why? Anyway, would you guys like a bunch of righteous indignation but no viable solutions? Liberalism. That's my impression of Dean Withers. I have great hopes for Dean. I don't want to just be hateful of Dean Withers. I'm not hateful.
Yeah, I didn't even talk to dude yesterday. Sorry, I just wanted to look in my call history, and dude was like, Ari got things wrong, and then couldn't tell me what I got wrong. So it must have been
a different person you were talking about.
I did talk about it. I don't remember talking about the school bombing, though. Wait, no, I did with somebody that was like, what about Bush? And I'm like, why are we talking about Bush?
I mean, I'll bring up Bush all the time. Anyway, I don't hate Dean. Dean's in a better spot than I was at his age. The world was less obviously terrible and liberalism was less obviously ineffective when I was his age, but he's in a better spot than I was at his age. So I don't hate him or anything. And obviously, once again, he'll think he's in the right because he polls more audience than I do. Like, literally, that's what it's very interesting because YouTubers will kind of they'll kind of accidentally like let that slip from time to time where you'll be arguing and then suddenly they're invoking in some way, basically an argument ad populum of like, well, I don't know, look how many people watch me. I think that Dean has a lot of potential if he grows the fuck out of liberalism, and I hope he does. But in the meantime, they're still fucking liberal propagandists, and I'm just like, fucking Christ, put more band-aids on your gushing wound.
I will say I get caught sometimes in doing the whole like viewer thing because I'll have somebody that they just want to come up and whine, and I'll pull a line being like, if you're so upset about the way I talk about you, go start your own live. I'm sure 3 people will show up and listen.
Oh yeah. No. That's a different thing though. That's a different thing of like tone. When people are tone policing us or telling us like they're talking down to us like they have a superior position, you could go get some audience on the basis of that. I don't hire anybody who hasn't, for even on our side. You have to have some our job isn't just having opinions. There's way more to
Yeah.
our job, in fact, than that. And I don't think most of the people who call, I think a lot of people call in, like our last caller, all they have is an opinion, and that's it. So anyway, yeah, Dean also, look, Dean could become a leftist, and that him crying about Charlie Kirk and I'll side with the Republicans if you make me will follow him to, like, one day he'll recognize how cringy that was.
I think he will, especially, well, as long as people keep pointing it out to him. Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Dean is young and thinks he's always right. I'm fucking old and I think I'm always right. But I do, it's
I have
really
a hard
funny.
time accepting I'm not right sometimes, so I feel that.
It's funny because there is a weird like duality of that. My opinions do change based on information dramatically sometimes. I have a hard time of noticing I'm wrong when I'm wrong. And so, you know what I mean? Like and obviously
Yes.
nobody would be wrong if they could recognize it when they're wrong. But yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting.
It can be really hard to be like, yeah, I was wrong about that.
Yeah,
or
that's
just
tough.
like acknowledging it. But I at least try to do that like mid conversation. Like earlier when you're like, did you say this? I'm like, I might have. Who knows?
Oh, I accidentally said the IGRC instead of the ICRC. So, you know, it happens.
I thought about calling you out, but you immediately corrected yourself. So like, yeah, it ain't worth
Sometimes I catch it
repeating.
myself. It is funny too, where you can be like talking to people and look, can you imagine like in the last call, if I had gotten something wrong, it would have been harder to admit it because when a person is chronically wrong and all their if you're listening to me talk and you're expecting me to be right and you're listening to, I can't even remember his name already. The last guy talk. What was his name? Was it
I
John?
don't remember.
No, John was earlier. I don't remember his name. Anyway.
Oh yeah, John was when
that's how much I do not hold on to these calls. When that guy calls in and fucking like he's going Adam, somebody had put it in a super chat. I remembered it was over here. Adam, when Adam calls in and he's just wrong time after time after time, that's your expectation of him. And if I'm like nailing him with facts, your expectation of me is to not be wrong. And if Adam had successfully called me out on being wrong, despite the fact that the score would be a fucking 1,000 to 1, that one would be worth 1,000 points and would be like, that's the fucking scale we work against here. It's kind of like if I dunked once on LeBron, boy, that would make LeBron look bad. And so, you know, can't even let one by you. It sucks. It's unfair. I can't even dunk though. So that one isn't like, I'm physically incapable of dunking. I'm 6'2" and 37 years old. These knees, one of my legs is metal, guys. Okay.
Oh, wow.
My right leg is my right from the knee down is like 50% titanium. What am I going to do?
Just remember that they made a whole movie about how white players can't dunk anyway. This was back in like that. Yeah. White men can't jump.
Yeah. All right.
That's 90s. It's old.
We'll jump to the next one. Cameron in Pennsylvania, you are on the line with Jimmy and Ari. Cameron, it says here you're a centrist. My first question to you is, what two positions do you consider yourself in the center of?
Well, what I would like to talk about here is whether or not you think that immigration and customs enforcement is actually a good thing to have.
Sure, we'll get there in a second. But Cameron, let me actually start. Let me change my first question. How old are you?
15 years old.
15?
15 years old.
All right. So Cameron, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you ask 3 questions in a row. I'm going to write them down, and then we are going to hang up your call because we don't engage with people under 18. However, I will answer your calls off air. So not off air once I've ended the call. So you'll still get to hear the answers to the question, but we're not going to have a back and forth with a 15-year-old unless you want to go and get your mom and have her approve the call and sit next to you for it. But I don't think either of us actually want that.
All right.
What would your 3 questions be?
Yeah, I could go get my mom to say it's fine. I would actually love nothing more to engage in a debate with you because I can't do it with anyone else. No one cares. Unless
Hey,
you
I'm
actually
not going to
just
be
don't want
nicer to you if you say dumb stuff just because your mom's there. You know that, right?
Oh, that's incredibly fine. In fact, I would love it if you go after me. I need my teeth cut, honestly.
I'm
Okay,
curious.
I don't know. I'm feeling even more complicated about some of the things you're saying.
I'm curious what your mom's political leaning is.
Can I debate your mom?
She really doesn't engage in politics. I've tried to actually get her to. She's just unwilling to.
What about your dad?
My dad, well, I don't really talk to him about it.
What do you think, Ari? You think you're good with if mom says it's okay and stays in the room?
Yeah, that's all right.
All right,
TikTok
Cameron.
has my age verified, so.
If you'll get
Then I'll go get my mom then.
sure.
Okay.
The line first. Why don't you mute your phone while you explain that all?
Hold on. Sorry, Ray.
I'm sorry.
Hold on, Cameron. Ray.
I'm sorry. Who am I talking to right now? Is this Cameron's mom?
Yes. 1 second, please. Please get that phone and tell Ray that you got an important call Mom has to attend to.
Yeah, this is call Mom.
My name's what? Can you hand me the phone? Your phone. Can you get that phone and tell him I'll have to call him back?
He's gonna have to call you back.
Sorry.
Okay.
Hello?
Hi, Cameron's mom. What can I call you? It's nickname's fine.
My name is Paula. We'll just go with that. What's up?
Hi, Paula. I'm Jimmy Snow. I have a channel called Jimmy Snow on the Line. Right now, we are live. There are 1,500 people watching live. Your son has called in asking if he could sort of engage us in debate. I said at 15 years old, the only way we would do that is with the approval of a parent and if that parent stays present, because these are pretty intense debates. And I don't really intend to go easy on somebody just because they're a kid or something. So we don't really usually take calls under 18. So if you say you approve and you're going to stick around for the debate, we'll do it. But otherwise, we don't.
Yeah, I can. However, I can tell you, he's 15. He's just eager for knowledge. He's not trying to argue any facts or anything. He just wants to. Oh, yes, he is. Oh, okay. Well, excuse me. I'm not sure where he's going with this because I had a different kind of conversation with him. Excuse me.
Yeah, I got you. I'm very socialist.
I'm here.
Yeah, we're a socialist channel, so that might be where the. But yeah, if you approve it and you say it's okay for him to go for it, we'll do it. All right. We want you to stick around nearby. I might even randomly test and say, like, I need to hear Paula say the code word, and the code word is ice cream.
Yum.
You got it.
All right, Cameron, what's your first question?
Do you think that immigration customs enforcement is a good thing for a government to have?
I would defund it and I would remove it completely in the United States.
Why?
Because I think that the problem with our immigration system isn't immigrants, including undocumented immigrants. I think it's how difficult we make it to become a worker, a citizen here. I would open the borders way wide up because that is the promise of America. There would be a very easy and simple vetting process just to make sure that the people who are coming across those borders aren't felonies, but it would felons rather, but it would otherwise be an open border. I would make it much, much easier to become a worker here because, as we've known it from our past, that ends up providing us the best version of America.
Yeah, that all sounds great to me, and I would actually like it that way. I want it to be easier for immigrants to be able to come here and work here, and that's all great. But what I think is that since it is the case that there are people who are here illegally, some of them felons, some of them not, I think it's important to enforce customs. That way they can come here legally and actually get a decent paying job and not have to work at like a farm for $1 an hour or just be undocumented and be mistreated when they could actually come through asylum or even gain full citizenship instead of just having them like be off of the record. So I feel like we should enforce.
And I disagree. Cameron, are you familiar with weed laws at all?
Oh, yeah.
Are you going to smoke weed when you're an adult, or are you waiting to grow up because you're excited to smoke some weed?
Drugs aren't my thing.
Huh?
He said that's not his thing.
Oh, all right. That's fine. That's fine. All right,
that's
Cameron.
fair.
The reason why I bring this up, in Austin, Texas, that's where I live. It is illegal to smoke weed. Did you know that?
I believe I did.
Do you know that most Texans? Know that.
We lived in Rockdale, Texas at one point.
Yeah. Do you know that do you know that most Texans disagree with that law? That most Texans think that it's wrong for weed to be illegal.
I think I knew that too.
And I think you probably know because there's a scientific basis for it. Weed is much less dangerous than alcohol. It's a dumb law. So in Austin, Texas, you have a state attorney general who is very against weed and wants it enforced. But in the actual city, you have the sheriff there, you have the DA, you have the people there have basically all said, look, it's illegal. Don't enforce the law because the law is dumb. And so when you're saying it's a law, therefore it should be enforced, I don't find that to be that compelling of an argument, because there's actually an American tradition of when we're waiting for laws to catch up to actually how good we are at something or should be, we literally have an American tradition of saying, don't enforce those laws and then we'll fix it. And so in Austin, you can walk around and just straight up smoke weed in public. And if you're not like in a closed in space and bugging people, pretty much nothing's going to happen to you. And I feel the same way about what you just said, that we have immigration laws, so we should enforce them. Well, if the problem with immigration laws are the laws, we shouldn't enforce them. We should fix it. And in the meantime, good people should reject enforcing those laws. And it's not like there aren't other laws they could be enforcing with that time. For example, they could be spending those times going after like known pedophiles like the president. There's plenty of laws they could go after, and you could just say, look, we only have so much time in a day. We only have so many resources. We prioritize the more important one. I'm 0% compelled by we have the law, therefore we must enforce it, because the U.S. every day makes the decision not to do that.
I'm not saying that the laws are just or that they should be in place necessarily, but what I am saying is that your chair. So,
I know that. That's why I engaged it the way I did. I didn't say you said it was just. You said it's there, so we should enforce it.
Yeah. What I'm trying to say is that it's there for, I believe, a good reason, because we don't want, undocumented people to be committing crimes and then,
No, that's not why it's there.
I don't know.
That isn't why the law is there. The reason why, if we didn't want undocumented people to commit crimes, we document them.
Yeah,
if you
I
had
know that, and I'm all for that. And I'm saying that since
but your argument doesn't work if you know that.
I'm just saying that since it is the case that
right,
it's not actually something possible. It's not something that we're doing right now. I feel like we should work with the system that we have, and I think it's a better thing.
And I disagree.
To expel criminals so they can face justice in their own country than deal with everything that's happening here.
So Cameron, that's an even worse position. Not only do I disagree with you on that the law's in place, therefore we should enforce it, and I've already given you the reason why. The reason why, the most important reason why I wouldn't enforce it is the consequences would be terribly cruel, because most of the people who are undocumented and not going back are here for reasons that don't qualify for asylum, but should. You should be able to claim asylum to flee from poverty, but poverty is not a necessary condition for asylum. In fact, you can't on the basis of poverty. You should be able to claim on a lot of things with a low burden of proof. And the fact of the matter is that the burden of proof on some of these things, like I was fleeing violence, gang crime, and the like, some of those burdens are too high. In fact, they are at a point of high where it's like the crime didn't happen to you unless there's a video of the crime. And some crimes just never happen on video. So, Cameron, no, absolutely not. Would the remedy be send the people back? That's going to get them killed, starved, tortured, all kinds of terrible things. Once again, we are addressing that the problem with the law isn't the quote unquote illegal immigrants. The problem with the law is it being illegal.
Or like, and so sorry, not it's still on the same topic, but we have cases where people are being repatriated to a country that they're not from for stuff that like has nothing to do with them. And I said that very vaguely, and I understand that. So I'm going to go in a little bit. So there was a gentleman named Orville Etoria, who is a Jamaican national who did commit a crime back in the late 90s, 97. And he served his full entire sentence in an American prison. He got out in 2021, was considered to be a model inmate. He taught other inmates there to read and get an education within there, just like he did. And under this current administration, ICE picked him up and deported him in July of 2025 to a prison in South Sudan. A man that had already served his 25-year sentence, who arguably should have already been deported back in 2021 because he did commit a murder and served his time. And I think the position in Jamaica is president. Don't hold me to that, but their top official said that they would have taken him back. And it then took them an additional 3 months to get him moved out of South Sudan and back to Jamaica.
Go ahead, Cameron. I acknowledge I said I wasn't going to go easy on him, and I'm being very nice. Maybe I should be this nice all the time. Go ahead, Cameron.
Oh, he can handle it.
I'll start with the last one first. There are grievous and gaping errors in the ICE system, and they're happening every day. I'm not denying that, and they need to be addressed and fixed immediately because they're just awful and horrible. And I suppose what I'm trying to say is that I'm acknowledging that those are happening, and it's awful, and it needs to be changed, right? And I hope it is. It's an imperfect system, and it needs to be fixed. And then as for the first person, what was it? Oh, yeah. I'm not saying that for all illegals, deport them back to Mexico to face justice. I'm saying for just the non-violent, non-criminals, I would hope that they'd be put back into Mexico and instructed to, actually come through the system legally. That way they can actually get Social Security, and they can actually get decent, good-paying jobs, and they're not being
Why do that?
And
if the intention is for them to come back, why not just grant them amnesty?
That's a good point.
You're saying you want them back anyway, so why not just never make them leave? Grant them amnesty, document them. If the goal is that the ones that don't have felonies return, why bother sending them back in the first place? If all you're going to do,
costing us money.
Yeah, that costs money, and it upsets the supply chain because you're going to be getting rid of people who are working here, and now those jobs that are going to be done, those workers will be gone. There's no guarantee they'll get the job back when they return. So now they'll be back without job security, potentially unable to justify their workers visa. So why not just grant amnesty now and not spend the money and time on going, we want to send them back and have them return?
I was actually not aware of amnesty before this, but now that I know, I'll just drop that. Then they should be granted amnesty if they're not actual criminals.
yeah.
Then I was
Okay.
going to prepare that one.
And you're not going to be one of the people who thinks that
And,
actual criminal
no.
is somebody who's crossed the border, right?
No, not
Okay,
remotely.
good.
That's stupid.
Awesome.
I agree.
And so what
And
I'll
then
propose this to you
as
real
for
quick.
the-
Okay, go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead.
Sure. You'd brought it up twice now, so I wanted to address the labor standards that you were talking about in the labor laws, right? Our Fair Labor Standards Act was passed in 1938, and it has clear language within it that says any person within the bounds of the United States has to be paid at least the federal minimum wage or the state minimum wage, depending on which one is higher. Why are we not punishing the businesses that are willing to hire the undocumented immigrants and pay them less than either the federal or state minimum wage?
I don't know why not, but they most definitely should be. They should definitely be investigated and fined. I don't know why we're not doing that, but that is something that I would want to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say unfortunately it's because in our country we prioritize corporations over the actual welfare of citizens or the population within the United States. Anything that continues to churn money on a wheel.
By the way, Cameron, if we were to grant all of that amnesty and fix how hard it is to come in, literally, how many people in ICE would we need left? ICE has ruined its reputation. So even if you do need somebody after the fact to say, nope, this guy is a felon, we need to remove them. Why would it need to be a special agency that didn't exist until what year was ICE added to our bullshit? Do you know?
2003.
So we didn't have ICE before 2003. If we fixed all those things, there'd be even less demand than we had back in the 90s for it. So why is it that we need to have ICE? Nobody's saying if there's a person who's a violent felon trying to come in the country, don't have a person that stops them. And no one's even saying that it's impossible to deport anybody, but ICE doesn't need to do it.
And I mean, Border Patrol is separate from ICE. We can always have somebody at the southern or northern borders.
Yeah, you got to have a counter. You got to have somebody logging who's coming in and out.
Yeah, that's true. So if amnesty is granted and the borders are opened, then it becomes very easy for people to actually come in. And there's no reason for anybody to illegally cross the border and come in. Then I don't think would actually need to be there. Though I'd probably still want someone, maybe like a division of a police force, to actually be tracking illegal immigrants somehow, some way. But I don't think we need a whole DHS agency over it.
HSI.
I'm not for
the only illegal immigrants after that are people who are here for sinister reasons. If it's easy to come, then the only reason you would hide it would be the same reason that, Jared Fogle used to hide that he was going to New Mexico for certain things. And that's an old reference for you, Cameron. Other people will get it. And so, yeah, the detectives, the police, the FBI, the CIA,
HSI actually would fall under their purview.
It's the same reason Donald Trump made sure there was no record anytime he went to visit Epstein, except for all the photos of the parties. But you can't, he didn't sign the guest book. It's the same reason. So, yeah, but you don't need ICE in that scenario. ICE would become utterly useless.
My mom wants to say something.
Sure.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Well, I know you asked Cameron about the marijuana law. I am 42 and I have bipolar. So I have the medical marijuana card in Pennsylvania, and I'm able to smoke it, buy it, whatever. It's not a problem. A few years ago, our family, my husband and I have 3 kids, Cameron and his siblings, we moved to Rockville, Texas. And here it's easy to find even a CBD store. So,
Yeah.
but there I would ask people, hey, how do I find hemp or something? And they said, honey, if you get caught with a half a doobie in your car, you're going to go to jail.
That's
Not
probably
accepted
true
here.
where you were
So
in rural
don't let them
Texas.
smell it.
If Rocco was more rural, I've never
I'm
been
sorry?
there. Is Rocco more rural?
Okay. Rockdale was near the
Rockdale.
college. Excuse me, what is it, college? A&E or I'm sorry, I should know that. By Bryan, Texas.
Yeah,
Cameron.
there's only 5,000 people. I just looked it up. There's only 5,000 people.
Yeah.
So rural Texas, they're total dicks about it. But the big cities, Austin, Dallas, Houston, you smell weed everywhere you go. They're all good. Yeah.
So what I'm asking is that still the case, or is that what we're looking to try and change? Because that was one reason why I came back home to Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Because I have to have medical marijuana.
I wouldn't come here for medical marijuana at all. I would stay out of Texas. Ken Paxton, our attorney general, just made like the Delta 8 and Delta 10 essentially illegal. There's like, you can technically still have it and use it, but you can't like buy it or transport it and people can't sell it. And so they've made it effectively illegal. Yeah. I wouldn't. People are smoking weed, but they're not doing it the well-regulated, good stores, good quality kind of ways anymore.
Of the medicine, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have 3 kids, and I surely don't approve of drug use. You heard Cameron here. I don't do drugs, but unfortunately, so it works for some people. It doesn't for some people. But
yeah, it didn't work for me. But I like other people having it. Yep, for sure. Cameron, do you have any other questions before we've only got 42 minutes left? So we got 2 more calls. Did you have any other questions, Cameron?
Well, excuse me. Thank you.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good. No. I wasn't trying to shush you away. I was trying to ask Cameron, see if Cameron's got any before we let him go.
Okay, so we left off at, you were talking about, I believe the last thing you said was ICE has become useless if we have wide open borders and amnesty. Right? That's what that was?
Yeah, I think that's where we left off. Essentially,
I don't think Jimmy said wide open borders, though.
I'm fine with that term. It's pretty close to open borders. There would be a checkpoint. You'd stop and you'd say, "Hey, I'm here. People should know I'm here. I'm not a felon," and that'd be pretty much it.
Yeah. Okay, and all of that I'm fine with. Right? I'm fine with the amnesty and the open borders and just making sure that we know they're here. You know, and just like send them back if they commit a violent crime. I only advocate for ICE insofar as when they remove felons.
But you don't need them to do that, Cameron. Cameron, ICE is not even really an investigation agency. The people who are figuring out who the bad people are to remove are detectives and the FBI and the CIA. You don't need to hire people who are underqualified, clearly have a hair trigger. It's funny because the right love to talk about DEI lowered standards for pilots and shit. It didn't. But you know what they did do? They lowered the standards for being a person with a gun and the word police on your shirt to be able to go around and stop random people and pat them down and abduct them and hurt them and all that sort of stuff. And so we don't need ICE to be the people. If all we're getting rid of are the true dangers, the people who we all agree shouldn't be here, personally, I think it's probably fine to just put them in prison. But whatever, you know, if we're deporting, if that's I would work on that other stuff first and I would prioritize that other thing last. We don't need ICE now to do it, and we wouldn't need ICE after.
Yeah, HSI could take over the role at the federal level.
Well, then now that I know that, I suppose we don't really need ICE at all, do we?
Correct. And we will look so much better on the world stage if we got rid of them. Wow. I'm glad I didn't call you a racist little shit, or something like that. Yeah.
Glad we didn't have to, I guess, should be the statement too. Yeah. Like,
we're going to leave you there, Cameron, though, because we really don't have enough time to get all of our calls in. So we want to try and get at least a couple more. But it was good talking to you. Potentially, if you and your mom have enough time another day and you have something else you want clarification or to debate on, you can definitely call back.
oh.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Paula. Bye, Cameron. Well, I feel like I can do line 12 quickly, but I don't know if they're gonna have more. Line 11 is probably the one to end on. And I doubt line 14 is going to make it through because we don't go with a lot of, I don't know what I want to talk about. I'm just here to vibe.
Whatever, man. Also, it looks like we got a little bit of a redirect from some people.
Hey, thank you. Really, our numbers are going down.
Oh, are they? I don't know.
Maybe somebody shouted out.
I think that's probably what it was.
Okay,
I saw the pop up.
All right. Well, if somebody rated us, thank you, because apparently we needed it because our numbers actually, it's getting later in the night. People are going to bed. That one. Lucian in Texas, pronouns he, him. Lucian, how old are you?
I'm 18.
Okay. And what's the point you wanted to make?
I'm not for billionaires having healthcare, and you're for Medicare for all.
You wouldn't let billionaires have access to Medicare for all?
Yeah.
Why?
Why should they have it? I mean,
who's paying for it? No, but they are paying for it themselves.
Taxpayer money.
Wait, Lucian. Where does the taxpayer money come from?
The billionaires.
And taxpayers, right? Okay.
Yes, taxpayers.
The billionaires, first of all, if you're talking about my economy and what I'm for, I'm not even for billionaires. So your billionaires, they've now been taxed out of billionaires. They're mere 100 millionaires, okay?
I agree.
But
so what about 100 million? You agree with 100 million?
Sure, Lucian. Anybody who is rich is going to be paying a lot of money if that's the system we even have in place in the first place. But I mean, I would go pretty heavy socialist if I was forming it. But what I'm advocating for in the short term, Lucian, there's two reasons that you don't want to stop them from having Medicare for all. First, they're paying for it. Their taxes are paying for it, and it's a public good. They should have access to it. Do you think that billionaires should be required to pay money to ride on public roads, to go to public parks? If they just want to go to the park for the day, should they have to pay for that?
It would cost too much money for the taxpayers. So
No. Lucian, what I'm saying is answer the question I've asked. Should a billionaire have to pay extra or separately to use public roads or a public park?
If it's efficient enough and it generates enough revenue, why not?
Because that just doesn't make sense. You just put it in the system. You make the taxes enough that even they should get this benefit. If anything, it's bullshit right now that they're paying no taxes and have extra access to roads, have extra access to better parts of parks and private beaches and all of these things. They get something superior to us. In this scenario, the second reason, hang on, Lucian, the second reason it is pivotal that you make sure billionaires have access to Medicare for all is because if they have to pay separately, they will set up a separate market and then they will get better health care than the non-billionaires get, than the non-rich get. They should have access to our healthcare system and nothing more.
You should be able to, if the government gives a bad product, the individual should be able to make a better product.
No, not with healthcare.
I mean, that would incentivize
not with
the government to do
There
better.
should never be a profit incentive. There should never be a profit incentive to healthcare. Profit incentives means that people are going to bypass the good of the people for the good of the capital. That's why we shouldn't have a capitalist healthcare system. You should not allow billionaires to try and take away from the public. It's like using the metaphor before. They want to take the nicest part of the park and fence off the poor people and charge admission so they get to have the nicest part of the park. If you remain a private monetary system at the same time as Medicare for all for everybody else, they will sequester the best medical resources for themselves and make the rest of us share. By the way, if you even leave that open, they will then also use lobbying efforts and political efforts to slowly chip away and make Medicare for all less and less socialized each year. This is what's happening in Australia with their healthcare system. This is what's happening in the UK with their healthcare system. Because there is a private option, the lobbyists there that have to go through other means, because it's not straight up lobbying like it is here.
I mean, I want to ban lobbies, so that wouldn't be an issue.
But lobbying will still exist. It would just take a different form. You have freedom of speech, you have freedom of protest, you have freedom of collection.
Yeah.
So billionaires absolutely have to have, first of all, not be billionaires. We need to tax away all that money. But whoever the richest are in society, they need to participate in the exact same healthcare system as everybody else, because then they're actually incentivized to support that system to get better and even innovate in those systems. I want to participate in companies which are creating cancer cures because if I get cancer, I only get access to whatever already exists and nothing special. Absolutely, we should give them Medicare for all.
So here's my rebuttal to that. Well, if you only have one healthcare system, you basically made a governmental monopoly on healthcare, and you know what monopolies do. Just because the government doesn't mean that it's gonna magically the monopoly problem isn't gonna go away. You have one party in a branch of the economy, they are not going to continue to improve it. Having a private system,
yes, they will. They definitely will.
The public system will allow for competition, and competition in the markets allows for lower prices. It allows for more.
You know what offers even lower prices? Hey, Lucien, we have the most competitive market for medical care in the world. We also pay the most because we have non-socialized healthcare. So when you say it's going to make it cheaper, that is 100% not true. We literally, yes, we do. There is no competition in the countries with socialized medication. They have no competition. If you are not rich, you don't have private healthcare. So there's no competition there. And they have better outcomes, they have better healthcare, and they have cheaper healthcare. Here, we have multiple drug companies that we pick from. That's not really the competition part. They're competing with each other to make drugs and to have the one that in this case, the healthcare industries, hang on, I'm not done. They compete to have the drug that the healthcare industry is going to adopt. Healthcare, the insurance companies, in theory, should be competing to get more subscribers, to get more people on their system. Unfortunately, we also have them on the stock market. So on top of trying to get more people, they also have to be more profitable than the year prior. So they cut benefits. Literally everything you're describing is wrong because you're just calling it a monopoly because you're using it in a capitalist sense. So let me improve this for you. In a capitalist program, you serve the interest of the capital. So monopolies are bad because they monopolize capitalist interest. In a socialist program, you serve the interest of the social good. So monopolies are good because it's the concept of a socialist monopoly means democratic. Everybody's getting a say. So the people that you're saying won't participate, you're right. They won't because they won't have the control. A socialist healthcare system competes for the social good to cure cancer, not to make the most money, but to cure the most cancer. It's a good thing.
I have a follow-up question. How do you add democracy to healthcare? How does that even work?
What do you mean, how do you add democracy to healthcare? We would have a socialized healthcare system.
You use the word democracy in there,
right?
Where everyone gets to say to see how the money goes. How do you do that?
Vote by voting. What do you mean?
Would have regulation.
If the government runs the healthcare and the democracy runs the government, transitive property, the democracy runs the healthcare.
Huh. Okay. Now, here's an example I would like to give. When it came to COVID and seeing how fast we got vaccines out, do you think that the government would have done it just as fast
Yes.
as
Yep.
yes?
And I think that messaging
Why?
would have been better because at the moment, you're also describing something the government failed at because of capitalist powers that wanted to compete with the healthcare industry, capitalist powers that then spread misinformation. So literally we got a vaccine and then we failed to distribute it. And now there's a significant portion of the population who has still never gotten it and millions of people died. So even if you could convince me we would have gotten it a little bit slower, which I wouldn't be convinced because again, the incentive then there isn't to make money. The incentive is I don't want COVID. And so let's cure COVID because I am capable of curing COVID and don't want it. That would be the incentive. But even if you could convince me it was slower, we know that distribution would be more effective because once again, places that have a robust social healthcare system access it, use it, and respect it much more than our system. Only rich people like our system because they're the only people it works for.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I don't like our system either too much. I can kind of get where you're coming from.
That's good.
Can I move to a separate topic really quick?
Yeah, it looks like the other callers hung up, so you'll be our last call. Go ahead.
Okay, so when it comes to are you and your friend, right? Anyways,
Jimmy and
what
Ari.
do you got? You guys support trans kids?
Yes.
So, so would you agree that transgenders are more prone to suicide?
Transgender people, yes, are more prone to suicide, but not for being transgender.
Not for being transgender.
Correct. No. It's not a quality of being transgender.
That makes them suicidal?
What?
Would you say it's the society around them that makes
the number one thing you can do to reduce rates dramatically is give them one affirming and accepting friend. And if you give them an affirming and accepting community, they go down to basically normal population levels.
Well, so here's an alternative solution.
Okay.
That this has no data for, but it is a solution.
Right.
So, and this can be done more wide scale. So, the people who end up identifying as transgender, whether they have a supportive community or not supportive community, but supportive friend, it's very hard nowadays to have a completely supporting community. You would agree with that? Harder to have that an entirely supporting community of transgender.
Sure, it wasn't required though. When you want to say completely supportive community, that wasn't. In fact, community doesn't mean my entire neighborhood has to accept. I have a group of friends. I have a community, places that I am ritualistically at or frequently at that are accepting.
But even maybe so. Somewhere around
you cut out what? Even what?
But even that would be hard?
In some places, yeah. In some places, no.
So in those places where it would be hard, right?
Yeah.
Let's say we don't give them hormones, right?
Okay.
And we teach them to love their body how it is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Doesn't work.
And it doesn't work?
Correct. Yeah, you're literally talking about like, and what if you just ask a gay guy, like, what about boobs? There are people who are trans were experiencing this distress and problem before there was language for them to find. In fact, a large part of you are 18, I believe you said. So your experience with trans stuff is that basically for all of your developmental years, you were aware that trans people existed. When I was your age, being trans was still a joke to me. It was still like that weird thing, there's that one person everyone knows in town who has a mustache and wears dresses, that freak at the mall. That's what trans shit was back then. People didn't have language for it. And it wasn't just that I failed to learn about it. Trans people didn't know about it until they heard on it. And there actually is research on this, that being trans is not new, and that people did try the whole love my body thing. The love my body thing doesn't even work for people who have dysmorphia, let alone dysphoria. In very many ways, what you are essentially suggesting, Lucian, is why don't people with depression just look on the bright side of life? Why don't you teach people with anxiety that there's nothing to be afraid of? That's not what therapy. Do you think that's what therapy is? When you go to therapy, you learn to always look on the bright side of life when you're experiencing depression? Because when you go to therapy, one of the things they do is identify whether your condition is going to be fixable through talk therapy, what's it called? Cognitive behavioral therapy, which is intense. I don't know if you've ever done it. It's fucking intense. Rapid eye movement therapy, or whether or not you're going to need medication. And some people with depression who only get it semi-frequently, they can just talk their way through it. And even just the experience of community with their therapist makes them less depressed. And some people get so depressed, they want to apply for the government to kill them because it seems like depression is never going to go away. Medications fail. Everything is a spectrum. So for every 3 people you think that you'll be able to find to just teach to love your body, even if you found 3 people, that wouldn't mean in a group of 100 trans people that it worked for 3. It doesn't mean it would work for the other 97.
Yeah, we know that with just everybody in
and what do you think
life.
What do you think therapy for trans people used to look like? You're literally describing what it used to be when they were expressing dysphoria. That's what it was, and it was never sufficient.
Yeah. I think the embracement of like the transgender identity, when the transgender identity is a suicidal one, is not good. I don't think
the transgender identity isn't a suicidal one.
Jimmy just explained it to you.
Being gay in the 90s, then was a suicidal identity. And now the numbers are way less because being gay is mostly accepted by society. Not even by all of society.
Just being gay. I mean, like being gay.
How do you know that? What is being gay?
Being someone that's
actually, you know what? No, you actually are wrong. Being gay is hormonal.
Yeah.
Being gay literally is hormonal.
Being attracted to somebody is hormonal. Silly
right,
goose.
Attraction's hormonal.
Yeah, no, I don't mean that.
Okay, well then that's what makes you gay. Typically, is how you're attracted to other people.
And back then they used to say, just choose not to be gay, and then you won't be so sad and you won't be so suicidal because you'll be accepted by people. And you're doing the same shit, dude. It's literally the same shit. And again, your remedy does not work. Because what you're basically describing is internalize, you'll never be accepted, so pretend you're something you're not.
I'm going to try this a different way. This should... I want to try asking it a different way for you, Lucian. Yeah, we modify our behaviors over time. I can agree with you that way. But Lucian, if it's okay and we just have to accept everything as it is and, we just have to like brush things off as they come, right? Why do you think it is that school children, right? Let's just say teenagers in high school are able to be charged with harassment and bullying, and that has led to the suicide of other school children? Why is it that they've been able to be charged for criminal behavior?
Because they're one of the factors involved in the suicide.
Yeah, what led to that teenager's suicide?
The kids bullying them was a factor.
Right, but what was the main part of that being bullied? Like, what was that main part within their brain that said, I have to end my life? Why would that be?
Well, as a formerly suicidal person, someone who experiences suicidal thoughts don't feel self-worth, don't feel that they are worth anything. So it's one of the most dangerous things someone can say is you're worth nothing or you don't matter. Or maybe I'm just a fucking narcissist, but
no, it's also, I would say, the primary word that you could use here instead of in place of self-worth. Oh, did he?
Oh, we lost Lucian.
Dang it. I thought we were actually going to tie that back.
I'll open the lines to see if just Lucian tries to call back, but we're not taking any other calls besides Lucian. But if Lucian tries to call right back, we'll get Lucian back on the line. Because Lucian's call. Because I have a question for Lucian that I think might clear this all up for him.
That's why I was trying to take it down a different route and tie it back into it.
It's just silly because all of these things have been tried. You said we have no data on. You think we have no data on therapists trying to tell fucking trans people, like, just love who you are. You know, you're perfect the way you are. Just love it.
It's the same thing that we've been telling suicidal teens forever. Like, oh, your former friend started bullying you and then got the entire school behind it. It's okay. I love you. I'm your parent, you know?
Joshua, I was about to just say the same thing. I bet his phone died, which means that even if he did call back, it would be a little while.
No.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild. It's wild with the trans issue. It's wild that they always want to bring every issue to it, because Lucian's called before on trans issues. And then we're talking about billionaires getting health care. And then he's like, oh, okay, cool. So trans people should die, right? He didn't say that, but he basically advocated for conversion therapy, which is what that ends up being.
Yeah.
And it is torturous and it isn't efficient. And here's the thing I would have asked Lucian. All right, I gave enough time. I'm going to suspend there because we're good to wrap up this show anyway. Here's the next question I was going to ask Lucian. A fucking doctor abducts you. You're asleep. You don't even know what happened. But you wake up in the morning, you got tits and a working vagina now. But everything else about you is the same. How effective will just accept and love the body that you have be for you? Like, legitimately, are you now going to just be like, you know what? This pussy and these boobs, this works for me. Maybe it would be fine. Maybe you're saying, you know what? Maybe Lucian would be like, I'd get over it pretty quick. In which case, Lucian, there's some other stuff you need to figure out about yourself.
Probably, because that would be the case.
As for cisgender people, that would not be a typical response.
No.
Not for cisgender people. If I woke up with tits and a working vagina, would get 1 to 2 days out of curiosity behind me, and then I would be devastated to not be able, because I do want to know what it's like. But I mean, clitorises sound the best. But after that curiosity phase passed, and I found out what was what, I would be devastated to not be able to return to my prior state. I, as a cisgender man, I experience gender euphoria when my masculinity is affirmed in ways that are compatible with my gender identity as a man, and I feel dysphoria about my man boobs. Like, this is what happens, guys. And that's the crazy thing too. Like, bro, Lucian, if you watch this later, go get all the hair clinics shut down and tell them, call into hair clinics and say, you guys shouldn't be doing hair transplants. You should be telling men to love their body. Because there's literally treatment centers, there's literally plastic surgeries, there's literally all types of things for people who are cisgender, who have gender dysmorphia, to get treated. And nobody's telling them to love their body. And in fact, for many people, that dysphoria or dysmorphia in some cases, and sometimes they intercept each other, is only taking, there's somebody I know in my life who they have an amazing body. To some degree, I think they love their body, but they know that there is this specific thing that they're going to feel better about themselves if they get breast implants. And I've had many friends who have gotten breast implants. And it's not literally just like I'm failing to love my body. It's that there are certain things that I'm not going to get intercepted by, certain thoughts I'm not going to get hit by if I just had some titties. And my life will overall be better, which is why lots of people by the way, regret rates on fake boobs are higher than regret rates. More people would be helped if you convinced people to just love their body and not get fake boobs. If you could get rid of that by just telling them to love their body, teaching them to love their body, then we'll get helped by if you stop trans people from transitioning.
I mean, I just don't understand why you just can't do that now, right? Like, it's similar enough to being like, so get rid of tanning beds. You don't need to have darker skin. Yeah. Actually, not good for you. So don't do that.
Well, tanning beds are terrible for you, but we allow people some level of choice. But hair transplants, right? Fucking jawbone surgery. These douchebags that are out there look maxing, right? Right?
Do we have a before? Do we have filler?
Do we have a before picture on clavicular or whatever that fucking idiot's name is? Yeah, my love of my life just pointed out no more braces. Just love your body the way it is. I mean, unless there's a medical reason, but otherwise just keep them crooked teeth like I have on my bottom row. On my bottom.
That's a good point.
I got some crazy stuff. You know, no more boob jobs, no more lip filler, no more injections, no more Botox. And some of these things I do think suck. I hate lip filler, but I'm not going to tell other people because I don't know what they're missing out of it. I will say, as with anything can be overdone. You can suppress stuff so much that you become a crazy caricature of it. Look at Kristi Noem's husband.
Oh gosh,
who likes to dress up as a caricature of a woman. I mean, those things were massive. Imagine how much more if he had had social acceptance early on, how much more healthily that would have been. There are some people who the amount of lip filler they get, I go past like, look, to a certain point, I would have been like dysmorphia, dysphoria. You were probably having one and you're probably feeling better. But once you get to a certain amount of lip filler, I imagine there's something else going on that's also bad that needs to be treated. Because there is a certain point where I'm like, you're having reverse dysmorphia. You are seeing something monstrous in the mirror and think that this looks good. It's crazy. But, you know, I'm not the guy to tell them that. And I'm not going to certainly go, just love your body. It's the kind of thing where I imagine the people that I'm talking about at that level probably need medications. Probably need some sort of meds to level out some things that are going on in their head. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. Kristi Noem's transformation has been weird.
Yeah. Yeah. Fucking Elon Musk has got gender affirming procedures done. Why didn't he just love his body? Stomach. Did he do his stomach too? I just know he.
No, I'm saying he needs it. Like.
Oh yeah, it needs a little tummy tuck.
If he wants to keep pumping out babies because he thinks that's his like job or something, then yeah, he needs.
I have a hard time criticizing his torso too much because, for better or worse, I like making jokes about him and I like fat shaming fascists. I think we have the same torso, he and I. I'm pretty sure I also, like, if I turn sideways, I look like an upright Cybertruck. So I have long limbs, so I always describe myself as a frog that stood up. So that's one of those ones where I'm like, I'm gonna keep making fun of him while knowing I'm only making fun of him because he's a fascist. Otherwise, anything I'm saying about that shaped body comes right back at me. Yeah. Anyway.
No, you did not look like that.
Yeah, I do.
I'm just making fun of him and his idea that he needs to keep populating the earth for some reason.
I know that it has to be his sperm too.
Yeah, it's got to be him. That's why it's like, you got to look the part though. And
you know what though? Vivian's pretty good. You know what I mean? Like he apparently can make a good kid. So like, who knows what's going to happen from there? Cause I really like Vivian. You know his daughter, Vivian?
Yes. That's the one that he's disowned.
Yeah. The one he hates. The one he hates and likes to dead name. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The one who looks pretty good for a dead bitch. That's what she put one time.
Oh God, that's horrible.
I didn't know all that being friends with Vivian. That would be honor of my life. She wouldn't even have to come on the show. I just want to kick it with her, you know, and make fun of her shitty fucking dad. So she's
sure she does that all the time.
I'll bet you she doesn't love I bet she loves knowing like just knowing lesser things that have happened in my life, I'm betting in her like personal social life, she values the friendships with the people who forget that her dad is Elon, you know, that they just talk about, you know, Legos
I
and
can see
Dungeons
that.
and Dragons. She's got
anything
the look.
but that.
I can see the autism in her face. She likes Legos and D&D.
You mean the real autism, not his fake autism that causes him to stem a Hitler salute?
He has real autism. He's just said it. The symptoms he has said are crazy. Guys, I've never zigged or heiled. Okay? Not even for a play. Anyway, Viv's cool.
He's the worst. I just
Can I
don't
call
get
her
it.
Viv? I doubt it. We're not familiar like that.
She don't know you. You're just Jimmy on the internet.
You want to do the outro song with me?
Outro song? Okay.
It's same as the intro song. You remember it?
Oh, it was just like